Hey guys, I'm back here again with this is an example of a Ferris wheel problem. So we are going to work on number 4 here. This is on your worksheet and it is a Ferris wheel question. So as you read the question, you can see there's a couple of things that I'm going to circle and highlight. So we're on a Ferris wheel, we're traveling, we're varying sinusoidally. T is the number of seconds that elapsed. And so the first piece of information that they gave me that's pretty important is they are giving me a time to start at. So they say at t equals 3 seconds, at time is 3 seconds, you're at 43. And then the other important piece of information is that the diameter of the wheel is 40 feet. So I always really want to start with a graph of the situation. So I like to draw my Ferris wheel out. And so the things that I know about this Ferris wheel is I know that right here, when t is equal to 3, we're at 43 feet. Okay. The second piece of information that I know is that the diameter is 40 feet. So if this is my ceiling, because of the top, and that's 40 feet here, and I was at 43, that means that this point is at 3 feet, and that's my floor. And so that's kind of important for finding my other information, which I really want to find all my kind of info before I start making a sketch. So as I go to start making a sketch, I'm going to come over here and I know that K would be the ceiling, 43, plus the floor, 3, divided by 2. And that will be 46 over 2, which will be 23. I know my amplitude is 43 minus 3 divided by 2, so that is 40 divided by 2. So that's 20. And remember that that is radius too. So like, oh, you see if it was diameter 40. The other piece of information that's pretty important is this 8 seconds. So I know that the period is 8 seconds. So that means my tick mark spacing would have to be 8 divided by 4. So every 2 seconds, I'll be able to plot points. I also know for writing equations that if my period is 8 seconds, then my b would be 2 pi over 8. I'm not going to worry about trying to reduce that over 8. I'm just going to leave that as is. So the next thing that I really want to do is I want to make a sketch of my situation. And I'm always going to sketch my situation before I write equations because I'm visual. I need to see what's going on. So just kind of like we did yesterday, I'll start out with a value for the ceiling. That's at my 43. I'll do my middle. That's that K. We got that to be 23. And then we'll draw our floor. Here's my floor. And the floor was at 3. So I know my x-axis is down here somewhere, but what you'll notice I haven't drawn is the y-axis. And that's because I need to plot some points before I can figure it out. So I'll take the point that they gave me, which was at 8 seconds. Sorry, I believe that was, like, hold on a second right here. Let me move up a little bit. At time equals 3, we were at 43. So at time equals 3, we were at 43. Okay, but then we said we had an interval of 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, so plus 2 would be 5, plus 2 would be 7, plus 2 would be 9, plus 2 would be 11. I can just cycle through and plot points. So I'd be at the middle, and then I'd go to the floor, and then I'd go to the middle, and I'd go back in the ceiling. So after 11 seconds, which is 8 seconds later, that's what we said the period was, I'd be back to where I started. Well, I also want some negative points. So I'll do minus 2 would put me at 1, and minus 2 again would put me at negative 1. Now, I want to go to negative 1 because I haven't put the y-axis on my graph. And now I know my y-axis belongs right here in the middle. And so my x-axis was time, and my y-axis was height. And so I'll do my little jagged mark like we talked about yesterday because I'm going to really start counting at 3 and 43. And I can put, if I was at the floor here, I know that this would, the ceiling, I know that I would be on the floor right here for this point. Hold up, my pen's a little crazy right there. So I would be on the I'd be on the middle, and then the next point would actually be on the floor, which I just kind of drew it in so I could make my sketch right there. All right, so now I've got my situation all sketched. And so I can easily write my equation. So I'm going to say f of t is equal to amplitude. Now I got to think about this. So I'm going to always shift to the point that is as close as possible to this y-axis. So I'm going to actually shift to that point right here. So that means I'm going to go right 1. Now if I go right 1, my graph travels up. So I know my amplitude should be positive. So we got the amplitude to be 20. Then we had a sine. We figured our b was 2 pi over 8. X moved to the right, that'd be minus 1, and we got a k value of 23, so plus 23. So for the next video, we're going to look at how we're going to take all of this information and put it in our calculator to answer D, E, and F. So keep watching.